Hey everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker, and you guys might remember my buddy Steven Zalunardo. He's a trader, by the way. He moved to Florida, and that's what we're going to talk to him about. But a little bit about Steve, right?
Yeah, I didn't quite move. Oh, I moved to Florida, but we still run a business in Canada.
Yeah. No, he's still selling lots of houses
while
not being here.
Yeah, it's basically an expansion, to be clear. I didn't totally desert, but for sure.
No.
The family is living in Florida.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you know what? I know lots of people, but anyone that I know that could actually pull this off is definitely Steve, and you've seen a lot of success doing it over there as well.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. Obviously, we own like a sub-branch office here in Woodbridge here in like Kleinberg area, so we have a small team that runs that office out there. Then we did an expansion into Florida, Southwest Florida, like near Naples, for example. And we basically moved our family out to Florida now. That's why I'm actually in town this week for business. So we're just kind of overlooking a few things and heading back to Florida tomorrow. Yeah.
Nice. So, but like overall, just because like I think other people haven't possibly joined and seen stuff on our channel, like how long have you been in real estate? Why'd you get involved? Yeah. Like in general, can you give us
So I mean, we've been in, I think it was since 2009, I've been in real estate. So it's 13, 14 years now. I just actually got my what do you call it, their certificate from RE/MAX, 10 years.
10 year certificate,
nice. Now I know I got to quit, right? It's been too long in one career. So 13 years into real estate. I got into real estate based on bad judgment from a realtor I hired when I was an investor prior to a realtor. So dealing with a bad agent actually turned me into an agent to kind of provide great service to our clients as now. So that was my journey.
And then you built up this business, and we connected, I don't know, somewhere around like 2015-ish or something like that. And then so we've kind of...
Maybe earlier, dude. Maybe 2014, 13, something like that.
But we've kind of worked, collaborated together, and we've kind of both built our businesses up, I think, in a good way.
Yeah.
But then you decided to try your luck at the other side of the border.
Yes.
So just out of curiosity, like what really pushed that? Like why were you like, let me expand my business into Florida? There's a lot of places you could have went.
Yeah.
So why Florida?
I mean, there's you know what I did last year, right? We sold a bunch of our investment properties. I kind of timed the market. I saw where it was going to be heading right in 22. So I sold, I think it was about $8 million worth of my real estate at that point, flipped it all off, caught it almost at the top. I think we lost about 3 to 5% from the top of the market. And then sat tight. I actually stuffed the money into GIC. It's like wild for me to even say those words because it never made any sense. Real estate was always as fuel, right? And with that said, I think it's just time to kind of expand the business, number one, to expansion into Florida. So it's basically a business that's congruent with Canadians, the snowbirds that buy into Florida. But also there's a lot more to that. Obviously there's politically in the country here, I don't feel like this is a great place for capitalism anymore. I think a lot of that stuff has shrunk down. I mean, you're an investor too. It's like there's one taxation law after another. Then me, I had that development plan I was going to build and develop. I had that 3 parcels of land that I assembled. We were going to build 14 townhouses. And every time it just keeps pushing back at the market. And then it's development charges. And then it was this. And then we bought another property. We subdivided 2 lots off the back. I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to start off these 2 properties. This will give me, and again, I come from a construction background, so I understand the whole process of it. So it's not like I'm jumping into it like, new or cold turkey. So we're going to, process these lots. And it was all the red tape associated with it. Took us almost 13 months to get it approved. 13 months, we missed the whole market.
Yeah, it's gone.
So now I couldn't put a shovel in the ground. Didn't make sense. Yeah. So I started selling everything off.
So it took you 13 months to get it approved. By that time, the market had come and gone.
July 12th application, they green lighted it at the City Council of New Tecumseh. And then it was like July 11th before it expired, they literally gave me the go ahead. So that's 13 months, right? Yeah, because in June would have been the 12th. So it's literally right to the year contract. And then by that time, it was done. So I actually listed those lots in March before I even got the approval. I got to be honest. Like I saw it. I go, there's no money to be made here. Yeah. And the way the market was going, the interest rates, I know a lot of people were sort of talking behind my back, bashing me, saying that I was like, what is he doing? He's selling. The market's not going to crash. Interest rates are never going to go high. The government doesn't want to crash the economy. There was all this pushback from professionals in our industry, clients, friends, family. I said, listen, if you can't see the writing on the wall, then that's your problem. Yeah. But I can see it. And clearly I was right to unload. And then what I did with the money is this: we moved it across the border into like safer investments. We got a way better landlord-tenant board act, which is more in favor of as we're putting all the risk up, and we're not taking advantage of and not taking advantage of people. But it gives us the power to evict and to not have rent control when we need it.
Completely different system.
Way better system, and it's like a 3-week eviction process. Okay,
that's
so
beautiful.
Obviously that works in my power. To taxation laws. Yeah. So when we sell a piece of property here, you make whatever it is, $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, whatever the profits you made, you have to pay capital gains on that. And obviously we're in a business that we're high income earners and stuff like that. It's like we don't even need that money. Yeah. I just want to roll that money
something else.
Again, these are conversations, maybe, but I'm just saying, like, I want to roll that money. Everybody can use this. Doesn't matter what level of investor you are. If you're a low income earner and you're an investor, if you're high, doesn't matter. But you can use all that capital and roll up into another piece of real estate. Yeah. No, the government's got to come in the middle of that and take a big slice of that. Yeah. And it's always when you sell something here or do anything with capital or capital earned in this country, it's like a frantic call to your accountant, to your lawyer. In America, to be honest, we have the thing called the 1031 switch. Basically, I can roll all that capital into another piece of real estate without paying any capital gains.
Within a certain period of time?
Within a year, or the year rather. So ultimately, what that does is that gives me an opportunity to build, if you want to talk Canadian terms, that snowball, make it roll a lot faster or get bigger, like keep it rolling, it gets larger. Here it's always like a slice. Then you got this luxury tax that happens. So you're getting penalized for making money.
Basically, it's basically saying, you're making more, we're going to tax you more. And there's no promotion here for you to continue to want to kind of grow this thing anymore. Because you get to a certain point of saying like, hey, I can make this bigger and bigger and bigger, but my slice just keeps getting smaller and smaller and just logically doesn't make sense at a certain point.
It doesn't make sense. And if you kind of look at history, and I know people push back on any of these comments, but I mean, ultimately, if you read about history, not even just in the last 100 years, talking thousands of years, if it's the Roman times, the Greeks, whatever, there's always a problem with dictatorship and socialism. And then when your government's too much hands in your pocket, not providing a service for you and just putting you at wit's end, like you're going to have to make a change at some point. And I feel that that's happening here is where if you look at quality of living, right, quality of living and quality of standards of living, it's a lot lower in Canada, like specifically, and we're in Southern Ontario. Yeah. This is the best place to live. If you're going to move to Canada, you should move here. Sure. This is the best financial hub, all the best everything, right? But if you look at, just for example, like I was saying that we bought one investment property originally when this started taking off because I couldn't invest too money here. It didn't make sense. So I bought a property in Florida. Yeah. You're talking 3-bed, 3-bath, detached, they call them single stories as a bungalow, double car garage in a gated community, brand new construction for like $380,000.
Which is?
It's about 500,000 Canadian. At that time when I bought, the exchange was lower, so maybe like high 4 or something like that. But I'm saying like so high, if you want to equate it to Canadian, like the same currency as Canada, $480,000, and the quality of living, everything is irrigated, everything is clean. You have your own gardeners that come, sweep, clean, blow, cut, everything's water.
Because of the HOA.
The HOA, but HOAs, and it's only $250 a month.
Okay, that's very good.
Yeah.
But do you see that going up though?
It goes up $8 a year. Oh. It's not like here. Here they jack it up. So then you got a pool on site. You got tennis courts.
You were showing me a picture of one of your neighbors there, and it looks like a resort.
That's our new neighborhood. Okay. It's a different, much more expensive area, the whole thing. But I mean, if you look at the quality, $500,000, what do you buy here? And not even that. Like when we came back, was it September? We come back every month, but it was a time we were with Mike, my associate Mike, at their office there. We did like these intro videos of like, so we call them soul journeys. Basically, all the houses that we sold, we kind of give like a little backstory to them. And so a lot of these properties, obviously, I deal with the business every day. It's on the morning with the team, and then it's like we strategize offers, whatever it is. I'm basically doing the same thing, just in a hotter climate, right? So I'm dealing with the Canadian business on a daily basis, and then obviously with the American stuff too. But so we went walking around a lot of these houses we sold, and I'm like, I can't believe it. Yep. Like we were in Thornhill, like very predominant, like Russian Jewish area, very expensive, like high income per capita area, like Patterson community around there, Thornhill. And I'm looking at these houses. They're like $1.4, $1.5 million. devastated. But not just the house is, plural, the curbs, the sidewalks, the city doesn't even maintain the grass.
Yeah.
It's like the quality of living. I remember as a kid, it was never like that.
No.
So it's just like we're over indebted. We're like the third most indebted country in the world per capita, income per capita, for debt per capita in the world. Imagine over like Hong Kong and stuff like that. And the quality of living is not here. You get these massive mortgages, you're paying high interest rates. It looks like we're just working for the banks here.
Well, it does feel like that. So I mean, like, this is what I wanted to kind of touch on a little bit too, is like the lifestyle. Obviously, the lifestyle rolls into what you see on an everyday basis, and you kind of said it. It's like everything is neat, clean, proper, and it looks nice. Like, it's more appealing. Even when we have conversations, you're just like, hey, like the weather over here, it just makes you feel more motivated and more of energy and full of life as well, right? Like versus like the day that we have here today. It's like, what time is it right now? It's like 5 o'clock and it's like pitch dark outside, right?
Great to watch movies. If you're into watching movies in the dark, it's like you can, you don't want to be anywhere else but watching a movie in a theater room because it's the weather outside. I mean, it all falls into that. Like, again, and again, you know me, I wanted to retire young. I wanted to kind of like, we had the business running so beautiful. It was like hands off at some point. I could have just really pulled back. I started racing, karting. Like, I was enjoying like 10 years of like 100-hour work weeks of like, people think it's easy to do something. It's like, we've been
hustling it for a while.
We got our thing. Every year we talk, we do our mastermind meeting. We know the pains and struggles, the blood, sweat, and tears, and sometimes beers to get things done, right? And then it's like, finally at this point here, it's like, okay, great. Now we can start pulling back, start enjoying, like.
But when you get to that point, that's annoying. When like I don't want to get too political, to be honest with you on this, but like that's I think the annoying part where I am at right now too is that you've worked so hard, you put in all these hours and stuff like that, and it's like the situation that we are in right now. I feel like I have to go back and recreate a lot of that just to kind of gain back my ground based on how our rules are, our government is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
look, you're having a record year. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Very happy for you. Super thrilled for you. But maybe like 2-3 years ago, 30% less was the same amount now.
Yes, exactly.
But you had to put 30%, what to get 30% more business in this business, what it takes.
Yeah.
It's not 30% more effort. It's 300% more effort.
It's 10 times
so
the effort.
What is that doing to your overall everything? Yeah. And I noticed even like, so Florida, to be example, even though, like I said, I was going to pull back, enjoy more, have more of a break, enjoy stuff, but also give me a break that I would push to doing the development. I was giving a little bit of a pause here. But ultimately, it was like, now we've moved to Florida, we've doubled, tripled the work, and it's obviously a lot of uncertainty. It's not everything.
It's not a slam dunk.
No, I'm not as tan as I should be in Florida. This is like a tan I get through the windshield of the car. So we're hustling, we're recreating a business that we've created here. We're trying to overlap it. Clearly, we're doing multiple business, the property management, real estate company, then it's also the development company. So it's like a million things in the air. Obviously, we're dealing with a very Spanish-speaking community.
So there's that language barrier a little bit too.
Yeah, language barrier. This is why our new assistant actually had to let her go today. We're getting another one we interviewed, but Spanish speaking. Yeah. So for translation, so it's problems we're creating solutions for. But that's what we do. We solve problems. So going back to that, now even if I have 2 to 3 times more the amount of work like pressures on me, I'm more relaxed. Yeah. Just based on like we're gonna go like on Friday. We got home early a little bit. My wife, we're gonna go to the pool. The neighbors are gonna come. I couldn't wait to get home, jump on my bike, my swim trunks. Literally, I looked like Forrest Gump, dude. I'm the only one that wears a helmet because I value my brain. Florida's a wild place. You'll see an old man on the 75, which is our main highway, with no helmet on, with his old lady hanging on the back of him at 75 miles an hour, and I love it because he can do whatever he wants. It's freedom, right? So I'm just saying, like, going to the pool, relax. That 1 hour, like just lounging around, it gives you so much more fuel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
well, in that environment, you have the ability to do that too, right? Like more, I would say, even year round versus what we get to do here. That's why I think the lifestyle over there is a lot more appealing. Like, we like to drive nice cars, like even sports cars and whatnot. Like, I have my car, I told you, I've actually taken it out twice this year. I mean, life gets busy, but then at the same time, man, like I have to pick and choose the weather. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't make sense. So I'm even thinking, like, even if we were down there, like we could pretty much drive the car every day. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just looking at that in terms of lifestyle, like how much different the lifestyle is. Like you've been there now for a bit. Like
over a year. Yeah.
So how are you finding it, man? Like, I mean, just like, let's dumb it down. Like if somebody is really considering to make a move outside of Ontario, let's say Florida, okay? Like what will they see in terms of like culture shock? Like, is there a difference in like grocery, going to the hardware, the malls? Like, what are you going to see that's different, and what would be a culture shock? Like aside from people carrying guns everywhere.
No, but you don't see them. They're not. They're
concealed.
Concealed. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But criminals have guns here and they're concealed. But you as a good law-abiding citizen can't protect yourself. So imagine if you had a concealed gun like a criminal. So it's obviously. It's scary to think about it, but it's also you can protect yourself, which I kind of like that too. I'd rather a gun in my hands than a criminal's hands. Yeah, and it's not going to be used for anything but it's hard to.
And I brought that up more like a joke or whatever, but you don't feel intimidated, you don't feel scared.
No.
In fact, I think you were saying you feel a little bit more safer.
It's more accountability. Yeah. You know, there's always this possibility of like shootings that they have happen here in Canada. We saw the one in Nova Scotia, the whole thing, the same thing, an AR is the whole thing. Remember, we're 40 million people here. That's 340 million.
Yeah.
You're going to hear a few more shootings there, clearly, based on population. But at the same time, there's so many, if there's people that carry guns, let's just say, that conceal carry, that have a license for it, if there's going to be, and again, these are like shitty topics to talk about, but if somebody's going to pull out a gun and be wild, there's going to be 5 people that are going to shoot that guy dead. You don't have that here. That's what scares the shit out of me.
That's a good point, man. I never actually thought about that. You know what I mean? Like if somebody here pulls a gun, who else is pulling one? And the cops are scared too. Like here, the cops are scared to pull a gun.
You can't. So there, it's very. So where we are now in Southwest Florida, it's ranked number 1 safest place in America. Okay, Naples, so Lee Collier County, then Lee County. So Lee County is ranked number 3 in the world, or America rather, the safest place. So like, I mean, there's some things you got to get used to. Obviously, you got to wrap your mind around that. Yeah. You're not gonna cut somebody off and give them the finger. Nor do I do that here in Canada. Sure. You can't be a hothead because there's consequences. So culture shock, not much for me, to be honest. Just think about this, Hussein. We want to always claim that we have our own identity as a Canadian, and to some extent we do. But I mean, if you're talking about not propaganda, but just messaging in a sense, like Instagram and stuff like that or whatever, there's always that messaging and what kind of messaging you're getting. Think about it. I was born in 1981. I grew up on American cartoons. I grew up on American films, American sitcoms. We've followed American politics our whole life. Yeah. We knew all about American vehicles. We knew about everything about America. We followed the military wars or whatever it was. Everything we followed was military. So we've been groomed American. Sure. So when they say, "Are you Canadian?" I say, "I'm North American," basically, because so when I'm going there, we talk the same language. I follow all the same shows. I have all the same interests. So the good thing about Florida, what I like too, because we were going to pick between Texas and Florida, and there's a reason for this. The Republican states, let's call it a square. You don't want to go to a Democratic state anywhere in the world right now, just based on violence, security issues. These woke laws basically disrupted everything. Look at San Francisco. Sure. If you're, I don't care which side you're on, left or right, it's bad policymakers that are making bad things happen. So you're going to have to pick a side. So obviously Republican states are the best places to live right now for safety, security, financial growth, economy. Like Florida's surplus last year, 21 billion.
Insane.
Billion, 21 surplus up. They made more money than they spent.
That's insane.
Here is like 150 billion.
Yeah, where else can they say that?
Yeah. Okay, so surplus, obviously.
So in terms of lifestyle, like you really haven't had culture shock.
No, I was gonna get that. So culture shock, no. So you'd have basically, what was I saying with that? I was going into some point with that. Regarding culture, no. So we speak the same language. It's fine. We understand the same things. We watch the same sports. It's fine. We picked Florida over Texas as is based on everyone's not a Floridian. There's not a Floridian. There is, but it's a minority. Yeah. And they don't usually live where we live. They're usually outside the outer skirts, right? So when people see crazy videos on Florida, it's not where we live. That's like Barrie back in the day when people were blowing shit up with bombs. It's the same thing. Now it's like gentrified. So same idea. So ultimately, so everyone's from a different state. So not like you have a certain accent, like a Texan will have an accent. That's the thing with us. I'm like, I'm going to go there. It's a Texan is a real person, and it's a dominant person in Texas. So Florida, it's like for example, our court where we live on now, we got Jersey Jersey, New York, then moved to Miami. You got Ohio, you got Minnesota, okay. Then you got actually 2 Canadians in a row, St. Catherine,
Really?
and Mississauga, and Scarborough, yeah.
Yeah, and Scarborough, East End
So
represented.
they moved there 10 years ago, right? But she's a doctor. And then
doing much better there.
Man, killing. Yeah, they're living their good life.
All hip here is we're not going to pay those bills.
Yeah, yeah. He's doing really. They're doing really well.
Good for him.
The neighbor beside us is from New York. The one adjacent to them is from Indiana.
So it's good. So basically, you got a mix. It's not like you went to an area where there's all people from Florida, and you're like, what the fuck?
Well, you have to. Then you'll gain an accent like that. So how I speak, clearly we have an accent. You gotta. Sure. I want to assimilate, right? I'm not there to kind of bring my culture there. For me, I'm always European more than Canadian, than anything. Like, we're Italian cultured. We grew up Italian. The music, the food, the thought process. So I'm always going to bring that. Like, if you go in my garage, there's a big Italian flag, right? And then outside my house, to simulate, it's an American flag.
Of course there is.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not there to change things. I want to live a great life, right? So and that's the whole point. So my accent, the way we talk, obviously we have an accent. Nobody knows if you're from this state or that state. We talk fast, like a New Yorker. So they kind of simulate us to being up north, right?
But I guess the cool part about what you're saying about the area you live in is, like we said, like everyone is from somewhere else. They're not all from Florida. So then you guys can kind of integrate a little bit better too, because they're not from there either. Even though they may be American, but they're not from that area either. They're still an outsider.
Yes.
Okay, so that's a very cool thing.
We're all starting from zero.
Yes.
And to be honest, a lot of people have left their families in other states or other countries. So we're all becoming family rather.
True.
So we do a lot of things with each other as
That's
family.
actually awesome.
And you know what? This reminds me. I always, you know me, I'm always analyzing situations. I always say to my parents, I go, I remember being a kid. You guys lived all WAPs, all Italians on one street, okay? Like, you guys all moved to Malton, Mississauga, Malton, and you guys were always together. You had, you did Christmas together, did this together, you had parties. There was always somebody over. Everyone was kind of hanging out. Why? Because and I kind of put it together just recently, because now I'm an immigrant, let's call it. Yeah. It's because they left their family and they had to have something else.
Yeah.
So
you're kind of in that same boat.
Identical.
That's actually
and
pretty
a lot
cool.
of people are like that too, right?
Dude, I never actually put that together, because you did tell me earlier that there are different people there, but I didn't realize how the dynamic of that would work. That's very cool.
Everyone's from everywhere.
Dude,
and then
awesome.
you get this big snowbird season now. Obviously, there's a huge amount of snowbirds that come in
how
now.
much do you think the percentage of population kind of increases with the snowbirds coming down? Is it like a huge influx?
Okay, so in the past, I don't know percentage form, but in the past, clearly it was a huge push on it, right? Clearly, but a lot of people migrated. America, like Florida, was the #1 migrating state of all of America. Over 500,000 people came in just last year.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so clearly, if there is snowbirds, I'm sure the flex is there. I'm sure, but on a daily basis, it's becoming like a little boom town. It's always happening. Because I remember when I got there in 22. 22, I got there April, and I remember where I eat now, the Coconut Point, and where my office is in Estero. Usually a little bit dead. Like it was like a few people here and there, and that was April. Last April was like there was no off season, and then there was one of our favorite Italian restaurants there in Coconut Point is Di Vieto's. I'll bring you there if you come down, if you decide to come.
I'll come
across
down,
the border.
yeah.
You're okay. Yeah. Fucking guy. But anyway, so you go to that restaurant, and I remember you know me, I'm always analyzing, observing the whole thing. I'm like a people watcher, and I was talking to the waitresses and waiters and stuff like that, and I was like, I can't believe it. There's no break this year. I'm like, yes! Did you not read in the news?
This is good news.
You're never going to get a break again. Your boss isn't going to enjoy it for sure.
Dude, but that leads me right into my next point, because I've actually structured a talk here
Look
today.
at you.
Yeah.
So proud of you.
Thanks, man. ChatGPT, guys. ChatGPT. But like that leads me to the next thing. So we have an influx of population going there. So how is the housing market there doing? I mean, obviously, I think that when you kind of started looking at it, 2021.
End of 21, yeah.
Yeah, you started
December
looking at it
21.
around that point.
Yeah.
Like, how have you seen the price points grow since then? Like, have you seen that price increase? Because really, we haven't here, right? Like, we've kind of went
backwards. Yeah. So we had from 21, again, when I bought my first property there, Feb 22, we went into bidding wars, okay? So this is...
the builders were having bidding wars, actually, right? You were telling me they would load up X amount of sites online, and then you'd pretty much put your bid in.
Submit your bids, yeah. And so that, and again, it wasn't crazy over asking like here, but we were paying over asking. And so we got in at basically almost a tail end of the massive increase. So our property went from 380 to, let's say, 450. What's that, 10% in a year? Yeah. So, but now that's shrank down. It's like 400 now, okay. four and change. And again, we don't know. It's probably going to go a little bit down below that. Maybe I get back what I paid for at the end, because there is some softening up. Obviously, we're in almost,
I think everywhere.
We're almost in two wars around the world right now. The U.S. clearly, interest rates are a disaster. There's a whole bunch of shit. We're going into a political election on both sides of the border, so we got a whole bunch of shit to look forward to in the future. But clearly, the damage has been hindered. The only good thing about Florida, to be honest, is the migration amount, the amount of money that came into the state, and this is obviously going to hold. I was saying this before anything even happened. As our property was increased, I said even if the market does kick, because remember I was selling everything here. I can't be oblivious thinking it's not going to happen anywhere else. So I say even if it does happen, the only good thing about Florida right now is the influx of money. People coming in from northern states with higher price real estate, selling that off and then buying either cash. Actually, the statistics were 50 to 60% of all the houses purchased in 21-22 were paid in cash.
See, they don't have that much risk. They don't have that much exposure, right?
There's people there now, walking around, talking, learning a little bit more. There's people with debt for sure, but not to the extent of here. You're like, so imagine all those people that came in are paid it in cash, or like low debt. The houses, the cars are paid, or whatever. It's like it's ample amount of cash, so it'll hold up longer based on a seller not being desperate.
Yeah, like the spread that's there. Obviously there's still going to be debt there, but the interesting thing about there also is that if somebody's been in that house for 5 years or whatever, they pretty much have the same mortgage they've had, so they actually haven't seen probably a payment change, right? Because their mortgages are 30 years? He's paid in cash, plus a lot of people are on 30-year fixed rate mortgages.
The mortgage terms are a lot more desirable. And then look at this. So when I got into that, I said, okay, so what does that mean? Like 30 years, like imagine the interest penalty in my mind, thinking because of Canada. And they're like, no, there's no penalty. $500 fee to the banks.
That's insane. That leads me to another question actually about mortgages. Like, are they assumable by any chance over there?
Oh yeah.
So you can assume somebody's mortgage there.
You want,
Yeah. See, that would be a very cool thing. Like even here, like just to sidetrack a bit, we actually had a listing here that someone had a mortgage left on it for 2 years at like 2.24%. And we listed the property a little bit higher and we sold it a little bit higher because of the rate of that mortgage. Somebody assumed a BMO mortgage at 2.24.
I did that August 22. Yeah. Honestly, we had the same idea because mortgage started getting jacked up. They had two different mortgages, one for 300, one for 200. Low rates. And we sold them with the property. RBC did a good thing.
That's
right?
awesome. Yeah. So now that we know that the lifestyle seems like it's a little bit more kick-ass and there's not going to be a huge culture shock and seems like there is price stability there and probably room for growth as well. Yeah, for sure. Like if somebody was interested in coming down there, like I've been asking you these kind of questions, like if somebody is interested, like how would the mortgage process work? Like how much is it different? Like a Canadian buying real estate over there, how will that work?
It's okay. Look, so we got different lender partners. So obviously TD is a big proponent for us. I did our first mortgage with our investment property through them. RBC is a great facility too. They have both sides of the border. They deal with both sides of the border. TD is a little different. TD Canada bought an American bank.
I remember. I forgot which one it was, but they did buy
Citibank.
one.
I forgot what it was named. And they rebranded it TD.
Yeah.
So the whole process is American. So a lot of those American banks, they'll package, like that, what was a movie called, The Big Short? They'll package mortgages and they'll sell them off to big hedge funds or whatever they are. So that's how TD works. RBC is a little different where they actually hold their mortgages. They still function on Canadian.
Yeah, like a similar type of process as
which
what
is
we have
good.
here.
I'll tell you why, because TD is, so America's, the way how strict they are when they look at everything, it's wild, buddy. Okay. You need an assistant. Thank God for Elisa. My assistant Elisa, God bless her. The amount of, especially for self-employed, the amount of paperwork was insane. And then TD was there, but not as much. And they were easier to deal with to get things done. And then they have other mortgage professionals out there. They have something called the CSI. So I forgot the name of the CCR, something like this. It's basically You can buy an investment property. Look how good this is as an investor, okay? And the rates are not even that bad. So you can buy an investment property, not based on your income, not based on they call it a FICO score, your credit score, your FICO score, nothing about you. They don't give a shit. They look at the property and how much income it's going to generate. And then they give you a loan based on the property and the income.
That's insane.
So if you want to buy an investment property, yeah, you're going to pay a few points higher, but it wasn't even bad. So I don't know what it was. Let's say the typical mortgage there was like 6.8 at 1.66. You're paying like close to 7.9, 7.8.
So a point, basically a point you're paying on it.
Who gives a shit?
And then, dude, that's a great bet.
How many more properties can you buy?
So basically,
based on properties.
So basically, what we're hearing right now is that the lifestyle is really good over there. You're not going to have culture shock. Market is stable. It is a pain in the ass probably to put the paperwork together to get a mortgage, but once you pass through that,
it's doable.
Yeah, you're going to be okay over there.
It's a lot of paperwork, a lot of hassle, but again, you just got to be diligent. You're buying properties. You can't just be be half-assed. Like you're spending a lot of money, so you got to be on it, right?
Well, and different things happen, right? Like we went through the pandemic. Like Canada, Ontario, they had their own way of dealing with things. How does something like that work in Florida? I was going to ask you, right? Yeah.
He sets me up.
I'm here to get you all.
You're going to make me look like the asshole, right?
Well, your face is already turning red. I don't think it's Chris's lights.
I'm ready to get some heat. I mean, listen, it's not just Ontario. It's any liberal democratic state or country, right? Even Europe was the same thing. They had these massive lockdowns based on I don't know what. Again, like data came out quite early. I'm always watching and listening to independent journalism. I don't care which side you're on, left or right. No. You can't watch any of the media stations that are too geared to one side or the other. Yeah. I mean, so Florida, what they did is they locked down for, I think it was 1 or 2 months, but then all the data started coming out. And they're like, no, this is ridiculous.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's not. So now you look at it, there were, again, just shortly, like a lot of the African-American population got hindered by this. You know why? I'll tell you why. There's only one reason, or not a reason, it's science that came together and all the, the conclusions regarding the tests and the blood levels or whatever, and the blood tests, right? African-Americans were most prone to dying from COVID was based on vitamin D.
Vitamin D.
Because the pigment of the skin is not letting in the sun.
Getting this.
So what's happening is, so vitamin D was a big proponent to kind of help you through the COVID. Yeah. And then what did our governments do? They locked us in. We couldn't go to a park. Yep. It was ridiculous.
They did the opposite thing that you should have been doing.
Opposite. Yeah. Ventilators were killing people. There's a whole bunch of shit. I don't even want to talk about it. If you go back, like I don't care if you're pro, anti, there's nothing, I don't give a shit anyway what they are. But look back of all the stuff, all the judgment and where we are today, how many people lost businesses, how many people got injured just during this process of bad government. Yeah. And that's a left thing. It's not a right thing because the right went open. So going back to that, so they opened up and they went back to business and they're the most successful state of all America. Yeah. Let's face it, between Florida and Texas, and Florida takes
They're more forward thinking, taking the information and using it actually without using it as a scare tactic.
But you pay taxes. I pay taxes to a government. This whole huge body, this sloppy body of people. Okay, this is your job to do this. You go to a house. A client calls you. I want to know the value of my house. You're going to run your analytics. You're going to run your data. Blah, 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 and you're going to do a presentation. Yeah. That's what we expect government to do. Sure. Run the analytics, run the data, and then give us your judgment. Yeah. If you're not doing that, what are you collecting?
Doesn't
there?
Make sense. Yeah.
It's so wild. I always make a joke. It's like they can't even get a friggin' neighborhood park together. You're going to tell me they're going to run anyway. So it's just making your own judgment. And then they did everything right there for the people, all the businesses, and then obviously thriving. It could have gone the other way. Who knows, right? Yeah. Anything could have happened. But ultimately, if the data came out and everything was on the up and up up and up and information was really reviewed and released without like scare tactics or people self-censoring, even here would be a lot better. We would not have had the inflation. We would not have all the bullshit in this country.
Okay, so like just like I don't know. So then I'm going to ask this question. So in the U.S., all these different states, right?
Yeah.
So like it's not like Canada with all the different provinces, because I think a lot of the different provinces in Canada, they stuck together with what their policies were, because they were more like federal, fed down, and you must do this kind of thing. But it seemed like in the US, they had a little bit more flexibility state by state of what they wanted to do.
So look at America, look at Europe. Europe is a very small tract of land if you think about it until it gets to Russia. It's like the Czech is small, Italy's small, then there's Spain, there's Portugal. It's small. If you think about America now, these are all states. Under one, so, but it's like the Euro or whatever, but it's still all independent countries. Everyone speaks a different language, the whole thing. America's the same idea, where it's basically a continent with all different countries into it, and they're built up into states. So every state in America they govern themselves. So federally, the federal government can't go there and make a demand like they did here between Trudeau and Doug Ford, right? So same idea. So they couldn't go in there and say, no, you're doing that. So the only thing is if it was a federal building in Florida, you had to abide by the federal laws. So you wore masks until fucking in Florida in the federal buildings up to 6 months ago. Okay. Yeah, until they close it all off. But Florida as a whole, because it governs itself, like its own country, does its own rules.
Okay, so at least there is some kind of a variable, some kind of flexibility.
That's why I looked into this prior to navigating or to moving out there too, because I'm like, okay, so that's not good if it's run like Canada, where the federal government had more power than anything.
It's all throughout.
Everything. It was like, now it's all federally.
But see, that I don't know, by you explaining that, I find that to be a little bit better, because you're more like geo-focused to that area, you know what I mean? Like, you can't really implement the same thing that's happening in Florida to like Wisconsin, or you can't use the same logic, because different environments, different people, different vegetation, man, it's completely different. So how can you say across the board it's all the same?
Yeah, and considering like Florida's a very red state, so why would it need to be governed by a blue state, by a blue federal party? Yeah. So it causes conflict with the people, right?
Yeah. So that makes sense. So kind of covered a little bit on the mortgages and stuff like that. Like, I'm not sure how much you know, because you're self-employed, but you're dealing with some people that are coming in, like mostly for vacation or like moving down. I think maybe a lot more vacation properties kind of thing.
For house purchases, it's a mixture, right? A lot of the people, like in the last 3 to 4 years, obviously 2020 plus, it's a lot of people moving for relocation. Okay. So young families coming in. This is where the migration's coming from, right? Like, it's young families moving in, people with like-minded people. It's a whole different influx of people. But clearly you're going to have secondary property ownership there, and vacation. Clearly we've got beautiful beaches. We're on the Gulf of Mexico. Clearly it's
a nice spot to be at.
Subtropic weather year round, right?
What does the employment scene look like over there? Like what are people coming down there? What are they working as? Is it okay, like easy for them to find jobs? Obviously, I think they might be looking for jobs prior to coming down there and having something signed up. Like, how does that scene look like?
It's good. Listen, we have a client. We sold their house in Milton to move to Fort Myers next to us. Yeah, they're friends of ours. Now they're started as clients, and they're like family, right? Same idea. He got a job in IT. He got a work visa, the whole thing, and now his whole family's down there. And he's amazing. He sold a small little 30-foot detached in Milton in front of a school, very busy street in a sense. And he's living in like a 3,300 square foot double car garage with a tandem pool with a cage backed onto water in a gated community.
Insane. Loving life now.
Loving life. Having a good time.
That's freaking awesome. What would you say, man, to prospective buyers looking to come to Florida? Besides call you, like, what would you say? Like, how should they do their evaluation?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, reaching out to you and just having a general discussion. Yeah. I'm going to tell people to do that anyways. I've already told people to do that. But like, what would you tell them to do? What independent research would you tell them to do before they contact you?
But what are they trying to do? Just buying a property or moving there?
Honestly, a lot of people I talk about, they're looking to move, man. Yeah. Like, just because obviously the political situation, the economical situation, and like we know if you're a business person, more of an entrepreneur, you're not really going to get as far here as you are in the US, you know what I mean? Like, there's so much more opportunities. Just like what you described, man. You want to build houses, you're going to do that. I have no doubt about that. But look at all the bullshit you go through over here in trying to set that up. Whereas over there, I think you told me like 6 weeks. Like, if you have your paperwork together, boom, 2 months later, you're getting paper to build. And like, what is it here, man? Like $400 a square foot ish to build, and it's $175 ish. Like, I don't know.
Over there, yeah, you can probably build for us there, like between, I don't know, if you want to build a nice house, you're gonna spend $220, $250, let's say. And that sounds like low to you guys, but I can build a beautiful house for like $140 a foot.
But look at that, man. Like the price per square foot, and then even like the cost of the lot. Like there was a comparison we did on a lot, right? We buy that lot here for like $800,000, $900,000. You're buying lots out there for, I don't know, $100K, 80, $100K. Like already just in the land acquisition, we all know, man, you make your money on the buy. You know what I mean? So if you're buying a lot here for $1 million, and you're buying a lot there for, let's call it $150 Canadian. Do you know what I mean? Like still, like you're making all of your money on that buy over there.
Yes, yeah. Truly.
So I guess my point is that I think the people that I have conversations with are more like business minded, more that want to grow business, build businesses. So they would want to move down there. Yeah. So what would they look for, man?
I think, so for us important, again, it depends what your lifestyle is. For me, you know me, I've abbreviated our coastline: lush, luxury, and private. Mm-hmm. Like this is the highest concentration of billionaires in America is in Naples, just adjacent to us, like 10-minute drive. Not that I'm nowhere near that, but I'm just saying we're in good company. Yeah. When you see a Learjet, a private jet landing every 7 to 10 minutes, it's a good company.
It's a good spot to be.
Good company. Yeah. Yeah, so important to us was like, so we wanted that more chilled back lifestyle. I want to work hard. I'm gonna give it my all. I'm not there to sit underneath the tree drinking a coconut. It's literally, we're gonna hammer, right? It's hammer time. But we didn't want that very metropolitan area like Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood, or Miami. We didn't want that. I don't want that in your face craziness. So on ours, again, this is what you gotta look for. You want like nightlife. You want that whole thing. You're a young person. Like, yeah, you want to stay on the East Coast or South Florida, like Miami, clearly, right? They have a huge financial district. A lot of that Bitcoin, businesses have opened up down. A lot of stock, what do they call, stockbrokers and stuff like that. Like their trading houses have moved down to Miami, which makes sense. No state income tax. We forgot to mention that. You don't pay state income tax.
So what is a federal tax?
I don't know, like on what amount? Oh, so if you're buying stuff like goods, 6%, 6%.
6%. Here's 13. Yeah. If you forgot.
I look at the tax, like $3.89. What is this fee? What did I get? Like a can of Coke or something? I didn't understand. Then it's because usually you're always, when you're spending over $100, it's usually like $12, $13, $15, $20. You're always, anyways. It's nice to have like less sales tax, no state income tax. So that was important for us. Obviously, we have a family, want to move to a nice, family-oriented area, more we can raise our kids. And again, it's like what I always say, like moving back into like living the 80s. So a lot more wholesome than, let's say, today's society, how it's confused. Yeah. And I don't need my kids to be part of that confusion. Yeah. Enough said, right?
Actually, that's a big thing.
Yeah. I want them to I want them to be in school for academia. That's what I'm paying the schools to do. If they can't do that, then I'll find my own way. Yeah. So all I want them to do is learn about academia for sure. I want them to be in a safe environment. I want them to have good kids around them, clearly, and to thrive, right? Yeah. And then when they, graduate university, whatever they call it, college there, whatever they want to do, again, this is another thing for future growth for the kids. Like, so you're in Canada. I made this example to you when we were up in Collingwood. If my son or daughter wants to become an engineer to build bridges, let's just say for like a hypothetical, scenario. So they want to build bridges, and they want to be an engineer. So they go to school, they spend daddy's, hard-earned money, you're like 60, whatever it is, 80,000, it could be 40 or 100,000, whatever school they've gone to. And then there's no damn bridges to build because our population growth is, even though it's a little bit more aggressive now, but it's going to take, when are we going to get to 100 million? Not in our lifetime, I don't think. No. What are we waiting for? We can't wait for this. This is crazy. So, the way the provinces are not really connected. Like, I've only traveled to Quebec and only to Montreal, and I went to Ottawa once, and that's part of Ontario. But that's it. If I fly to Vancouver, it's cheaper to go to Italy. I'm going to Europe. I apologize. Great. I'm sure there's great countryside.
Banff and Jasper. I try to encourage you to go.
Great country. I like what you did, the drive. But I mean, if I'm going to fly, spend my same amount of money to fly there, I'll go to Europe. I got to be honest. So it's very disconnected. connected. What you find in America is that you can jump on a flight for like $60, $100, like Europe.
Yeah.
And you can, like I was, remember in the beginning when I was going on this journey, I go, even though we're going to live in Florida, that's our home base. If we want to invest in Ohio, if we want to go invest in Missouri.
You can leave in the morning and come back at night.
Yeah.
Literally.
For like a couple $100, like an Uber ride into the city. So again, you have so much access to everything. And then even the kids, like if they want to build bridges and Florida's got no bridges, well, let's go to Missouri. Let's go to whatever. If they want to go to the other side of Florida, if they want to go to Texas or whatever
There's more
it is.
opportunities
Los Angeles.
over.
Mississauga, we moved to Woodbridge. Now you're the kids. Oh, you're going to move to Newmarket. You're going to move to Schaumburg. You're going to move to
Moving
Bolton.
like 30 kilometers away.
Yeah, it's like it's just, but this is mental. So we're all going to die along these lines. I think it's crazy that we're so, like stuck. Like it's normal to stay in one place for a long period of time.
I think that's changing, Steve. Someone like me would never ever have thought of leaving Canada. I just wouldn't have.
I never thought. It's never a thought.
I was like very much gung-ho about it. I thought everything was beautiful here until you start to really take in reality of what's actually going on. And for me, it depends on my growth as well, how much I want to grow and what my obstacles are to grow. And one of the big ones here is like taxation. Like you're going to get screwed on taxes over here 100%. The other thing that you mentioned is opportunity. There's a lot more opportunity, whether it be your kids want to study something and practice that. There's a lot more opportunity in landscape to do that over there. And even for us, man, like I think for us to be able to build our business, there's more people to interact with. There's more properties to sell. There's more things to do, to actually do over there. So overall, as a package, it sounds like a very appealing one.
Very appealing, of course, and then also everything comes from there. All the tech, everything. And I'm dealing with, obviously, we're revamping, how we're going to do business there with the farming, all this stuff. I gotta start doing this. Obviously, a lot of the business from Canada with the rates here today, it's hard for people to kind of buy like they used to. So now it's like we're getting more wealthier people with full cash, and it's a different buyer, but it's slowed down. So now we're focusing on American business because now the currency is kind of obviously the rate here, like the States, but also the exchange, right?
Because we got a 40-point difference right now.
It's about 38, yeah, $1.38. But if you look if now I'm starting to focus on like American business, right? Like, again, we've dealt with New Yorkers, New Jersey, whatever it is. Like, we've already filtered in through like our marketing, but it's like, and it's fun, right? It's fun as hell. Like, I like people. Stuff. It's it's the best. I think I'm in a movie every day. It's so much fun. And work is like, it's 10%, morality or whatever. Yeah. So if you look at, what was I saying? So looking at the American business, there's so many systems, technology systems that you don't have here. And now what I'm doing, obviously, is because I'm like, we're rejigging that business with 13 years experience now. So it's a lot more like I have answers for everything now. Yeah. So as we're jigging up the American business, I'm jigging up the Canadian business at the same time. So it's like, do this, overlap it here. Do this, overlap here, based on the tech. A lot of that shit I can't cross over to this country based on laws and all kinds of shit. A lot of red tape. It's basically socialism. As much as we want to pretend that this place, my parents came here in 1968. It's not the country they signed up for. Sure. Let's face it. So
the thing is that even for us though, and I'll cut this off here. Like the thing is that what my expectation was when I was growing up and when I first got employed and whatever else like that. Like 20 years later, it's really changed. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's not the dream that was pitched. So my intention today to do this podcast wasn't how much I'm thinking about moving. It was more about like at least exposing other people to other opportunities, right? If people have this kind of idea in their brain, like I wanted to bring you specifically because you're somebody that kind of went through it from scratch, right? Yeah. So if somebody's thinking about it and really considering it, I think you'd probably be a good person for people to connect with.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
at least just so you could tell them from the ground up of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. Lead them through the process. And again, like obviously these are more like serious conversations or whatever. It's a lot like, there's a lot of things we need to consider in life in general, right? And again, net positive from COVID, what we learned from it is like, we don't need to be stationed forever in Canada. I think that was number one. Number two, it's like you start to discover like maybe there's better places. Because what happens is if you I remember this, it was like being Canadian, it was like, oh, the American school systems suck. They're dumb. This whole thing, it was a whole narrative. I don't know where it came from, but that's what I believe. And someone told me that was older, or was it the school, or was the people around me. And then we get our kids into school, and that school system is on another level. And it's a lot down than what it used to be. But from Canada, and my kids are all in private school. I spent a fortune for them to go to school. They were in private, small classes, 10, 12 people, the whole thing, 2-3 teachers in a class. Think about it. Going into these schools now, it's a whole different story. We got to get tutors. We got to get these kids up to speed. It's like they've been downgraded being in our school system here, and it's wild. You would never have believed that, right? Because I thought it was the opposite, and then not to mention the schooling system there. So I know a lot of.
I was going to ask, I was going to ask about that.
So like our kids are in a chartered school right now, which basically it's a private without paying. It's corporate.
How does that work, man?
I don't know,
that sounds
but it works. Good. Yeah, it's corporately funded, right?
Corporately funded.
Yeah, you go in like in a lottery or something like that, and it's this whole thing. But ultimately,
suddenly Steve lands in Florida and he wins the lottery for his kids to go to corporately funded private school.
You couldn't get our kids into any school. It was so packed because all the influx of kids. This is how you know population's young now. When you got grade 6 classes and there's 6 grade 6 classes in a school.
That's a good sign, dude.
That's a lot of fucking grades, buddy.
That's good.
6 grade 6 classes, not to mention how many grade 5 classes, how many grade.
Considering how much aging population is around, that's a good sign.
Great sign, yeah. That's what I'm saying, there's a huge influx. And then also the schools are not like, they're like 1,500 people. They got full campuses, they got full everything. And like when they do sports and stuff, it's on another level there. Like everything's a lot more professional, I find. Like even with the schooling, everything's more professional. It's wild.
The other thing I was going to ask you was medical. So health, right? That's a big thing because we have free healthcare here. If you get it.
Per se. Yeah.
If you get it.
Or you're paying high taxes in order to
But if you get it, bro.
Yeah.
If you get it. Because I needed to see a thyroid specialist, okay? I needed to see a thyroid specialist. And so I tell my family doctor, okay, he's like, yeah, no problem. We write you up one of these things and someone will call you. So someone calls me, sure enough, 3 weeks later for an appointment 7 months later. I was like, well, what if I'm fucking dead at that point 7 months later? Like, okay. And then I got pissed because I'm like, something's wrong with me. If this guy wants me to see a thyroid specialist, like I want to see one now. Like now. I just happened to call like right across the border of Niagara Falls on the other side. And they're like, can you be here in 45 minutes? Like we got slots so we can get you in. It's like, dude, like it's night and day over there. Fine. Do I have to pay $300 over there to go see a specialist? I think I'm okay with that. So tell me, like, because I think that is another thing people say, well, we have free healthcare here. Healthcare costs money over there. What's your take on that?
Okay, so it's cost money, right? You could be like, we're a family of 4, like $500 a month. Let's just say $600 for the family
each.
Yeah. No, combined like 600, 700. Yeah. So let's say let's argue $1,000 a month. Yeah. Could be it's less.
And then how much are you paying less in taxes though?
You're not paying state taxes.
Oh, okay. So net gain necessarily with better healthcare.
With better healthcare, yeah.
Have you actually had to use any of the healthcare?
Yeah, I had to go a few times. Yeah.
And what do you think about it?
Yeah, listen. If you don't have, you got to watch without having health insurance, just based on the cost of things, right? Because like any hospital, they boost it up, but then there's some funny shit that happens there with the bills.
Okay.
It's like
Have you experienced that?
Not yet, no. So yeah, you might have to pay a deductible like a car insurance. Because that's how it is. It could be $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, $8,000, stuff like that, and that's it. And if you go in there, obviously, if you're like someone like me that's really more spending rather than making. Let's say we're making money. We did over 6 figures in the first year, which I think is great. Just kind of like not knowing anybody, and it was. It's so making money, but also if you're not claiming it, right, as an income, I can go into like a lower care.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're going to pay like a lot less, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe a higher deductible, but I mean, ultimately it's a lot less.
But even the deductibles kick in when you're going to make hospital visits and stuff like that. Like, is there any kind of like routine kind of package that you're not paying deductible? Or is it like anytime you go see a family doctor, there's like a copay?
Yeah, it depends. Depends the package. There's so many different
So
packages.
there's a lot of options, I guess.
We bring our kids like $150 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. Depends what they bring. If it's like a visit or something like that, someone's sick, it's like $150 right now.
So, but overall,
But it's like
it's quick.
Yeah.
You're not going to be sitting in an emergency room for
we have
6 or
actually
7
got
hours.
drugs on the shelves. Not like here. We had like a
there's
scarcity
nothing here.
of whatever was it. I forgot what it was. It was insane. Yeah.
Okay, so overall,
Yeah, overall it's good, buddy. Like obviously, I think if you're going to make the move, you can't do it if you're, like half in, half out. You have to go full flat in there, right? And you got to be wanting to like assimilate. You can't go there and like, I hate it because it's too hot, or like, it's like, or I miss going to the coffee shop, like weak stuff. You know what I'm saying?
do you think you should be going, like I guess you probably have both kind of demographics, people that want to go there and chill, but I feel like based on what you're telling me right now, if you go there and want to still hustle, like you might actually have a better outlook on it, because the thing is that you're going to enjoy a better climate, better lifestyle overall, but then you still have that hustle that you can put in, which is going to ease your mind about the stuff that's going, well, you've kind of left behind as well, because you have your own hustle going on.
Yeah, you keep it going, buddy. I don't know. Like we're on the gas pedals pushed down the same, even more, right?
Yeah.
We actually put more gears in it. You had to, but it's you're enjoying life, buddy. It's not a question. Cars, we love cars. Like you mentioned it earlier. I drive my 911 whenever I want.
Yeah.
The Alfa Romeo, I just drove my daughter, top down in the morning to dance on a Saturday. Have nothing to do on the Saturday.
In November.
Drop her off at 9 a.m. It's like, 31, 30, 29, 30 degrees. I drop her off. I went to the local hippie coffee shop there. Those yuppie, what do they call them? They're like hipster rather. They're yuppies, but hipster coffee shop. And you had a great, coffee, just chilled. 5-10 minutes, had this nice coffee, enjoyed the beautiful palm trees, everything's green, everything's pleasant, jump back in the car again on the highway, just, it's beautiful. I mean, that takes years off your life. I don't care what you say. It doesn't matter. If you like golfing, like we go golfing, it's great. It's like, whatever, the whole thing, right?
So basically, bottom line is that if people are watching this and are curious, you would encourage them to explore it.
Yeah, I think so. And again, it's not for everybody. It's not for the faint heart. If you're gonna miss certain things, you'll break down and you'll move back. Yeah. You got to be 100% sure, right? And you're going for the right reasons.
But how does someone get 100% sure? Or as close to possible?
I think as long as you get your reasons in order.
Why you want to make this move?
If you're going there just for the sun, I think you're gonna fail.
So better to go on vacation then.
Yeah, clearly, or buy a secondary property. Enjoy the sun. But if you're saying, if you have strong morals or strong reasons, your whys, right? You always say, what's your why? Better life for my family, better life for my kids, better future. If you start looking at all these things, there is no failure at that point. I don't miss anything. Because now
you have all this other opportunity that didn't exist before. Yeah, it's filled that void almost kind of.
It's the priorities have risen, and so there's no opportunity, there's no reason, or there can't be any failure. It's just, and it's not like you're gonna gain everything overnight. You know how it is. Yeah. But every day, if you have one foot in front of the other, you're gonna get into
climbing that mountain. Remember what I told you?
Yeah, the Kilimanjaro. The same thing. One foot in front of the other.
That's a different story.
And I think that's what for us. Clearly, sometimes you're like, what is this? Is mental. I can't believe I'm in a foreign place or somewhere. But it's just settle down, bro. Everything's good.
Yeah.
You gotta settle.
It's been done.
Yeah, it's been done. A million people do it, and then you go back to your reasons.
Yeah.
This is bang, 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 bang. Yeah. But if you're just I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna go to the bars on Friday and I'm gonna try this and that, but you don't plan to work. You don't plan to assimilate. I'm gonna put a big Canadian flag outside my window.
It's done. You might as well stay there.
Yeah, you might as well come home. You're gonna have to learn Fahrenheit. You're gonna have to learn miles. I'm a whiz,
I can't even figure out how to change my damn thermostat from degrees to Fair. Because
it's something you gotta and your Zs or Zs. Yeah. So you gotta they'll ping you. You gotta so I'm pretty good. I'm camouflage right now. A few A's once in a while, but yeah. And boot. We see the boot a little bit.
If you guys need a brush up on your American, you can call my buddy Steve here. Or better yet, if you're looking at Florida as a destination, what areas in Florida again you're covering?
Southwest Florida, yeah. So between Marco Island and Cape Coral.
Awesome. So we'll put Steve's information up, and you guys reach out to him. He's a good dude. I've known him for 10-ish years now. Yeah, and we've come a long way. So congratulations to you on all your success.
Thank you, my friend.
And,
same to you.
yeah, we'll have his contact information. You guys should reach out. And if you guys want to do something in Pickering, in Toronto, you should definitely call me. Florida, Steve's the guy. All right, guys, until next time, remember one thing, get Kabani.
Get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.